Love it.
Twitch, right now, we want you to actually jump in and vote for who you think's going to take it. Is it going to be the underdogs, Windwalker DK Nation, or XRB to the moon? We're jumping straight into the action. Elimination match. 4th place for the international land on the line. Who is going to take it? XRB to the moon are our underdogs.
I think if you vote with your brain, you're voting for XRB, but if you vote with your heart, you're voting for Windwalker DK. Let's see if they can just run down Looney. As I can imagine, that's probably the only winning strategy for them against such an experienced team. It looks like they're starting out on Zeepai, trying to force some pressure towards him, force him defensive, getting him down to 80%, and they're really waiting for their strategy. I'm curious to see if they're going to crowd control Looney. Fist of Fury already used on Zeepai, so it's not likely that we see a swap to Looney anytime soon.
Yeah, Bali is actually going with the Serenity strategy once again. He gets caught into a Stormbolt and deleted instantly. He's playing Orc Relentless. He got a little bit low, overextending on Zeepai. Stormbolt, can't trinket out of that when you have Relentless, and they were able to capitalize and take them down very early on.
How's your heart feel now, Super Tees?
They didn't run at the healer. I'm disappointed. I just want to see them run at the healer every game.
It's easier said than done when you have Blizzo and Zeepai healing everything you do.
You know, it's so funny because every now and then I wake up in the morning and start talking about XRB to the moon, you know, still getting the sleep out of my eyes. And then I look at the roster and I'm like, oh yeah, they have Blizzo now. This is the scariest, one of the scariest teams in the world. How has Blizzo been as far as an addition to this team, Zico?
I think Blizzo, he hasn't gotten to see too much play. I think they could incorporate him a little bit better. But, I mean, the one thing that they have going for them that's really solid is, of course, the Thunder that we just saw now with Zeepai being on his main, Looney being on his main, and Blizzo being on his main, of course. And they're super scary on that Thunder. I haven't been too impressed with their Windwalker DK and some of the other stuff that they've been running, but their Warrior Lock Druid and their Thunder definitely gonna be super good. Blizzo's definitely gonna give them an edge in a lot of these Windwalker DK or double melee matchups where Looney needs some protection.
Yeah, my biggest question right now about Blizzo, and this obviously isn't something that we need to talk about in this matchup in particular, I just feel like we haven't really gotten to break it down yet. What have you thought of Blizzo as a multi-classer so far? Last season, he didn't really need to as much, in my opinion. I think we did see the Windwalker start to come out last season, but what have you thought of Blizzo, who is probably the best warrior in the world? What have you thought about him so far as a multi-classer?
I think that he does a good enough job. He's pretty much serviceable, I would say, on the things that he tries to bring to the table, like his Demon Hunter, like his Windwalker. But I think that it's kind of clear that he is the warrior specialist, and that's his main role in the team. I think if you put him on an alt, he'll do a good enough job, but he's not going to be someone like Nixie who's just picking up a class and looks phenomenal on it right away, or even someone like Looney who can just play pretty much every healer at the highest level.
I know he's not playing anymore, but Frosty, that was that guy for me that could just pick up anything and on the fly make it look absolutely insane. A legend in my book. But I think 28% of you probably voted before that first game came in. Right now, 72% of you probably feeling very confident in Twitch chat, expecting XRB to win it. But what were you going to say, Sid?
You always bring up Frosty, and I think it's because at BlizzCon you guys had a little bit of a bongo session. You were playing bongos in a music store together. I think you had a little bonding moment, and now it's just forever ingrained Frosty in your mind.
Don't act like you weren't there playing the flute. You were there. Sid was playing the flute of dampening. It was a beautiful song that we created together. But the other beautiful song that we have just witnessed is about to reform, is about to come out as a new sonata, this time on Ruins of Lordaeron. And the main instrument of destruction is Blizzo's blade.
Yeah, Blizzo, I mean, did a good job chopping up Balia in that last game, but I can't help but feel like I didn't agree with Balia's talent choices, really. I feel like, first of all, the Relentless necessarily isn't the best. You can see they're actually going to be locking in a different composition, the Windwalker Demon Hunter instead, but Relentless, I don't feel like you're being caught in stun lock so often where you really get that much value. It is going to be those like one-shots where you are low and you get storm bolted at 20% HP, 30% HP, and that's when you want to have your trinket, 4 Touch of Karma to survive or to port away. That's really how you're going to live. So I feel like getting off the work Relentless, it's probably a smart decision. And also, one thing that we see Balia do a lot is he plays a Serenity talent, which is going to give you a little bit more upfront burst, but you lose the addition of having 2 charges of your Storm, Earth, and Fire, which is really, really good, consistent damage with the Whirling Dragon Punch. So it's interesting to see that coming in from him as well, and I'm kind of curious to see how this one plays out. I think with this comp and this map, they'll probably end up going for like an all-in strategy.
It is really interesting, right? Because I think the main thing is we kind of saw Monks gradually move away from that and move into that Whirling Dragon Punch. So interesting to see. It definitely does have its benefits for sure, but it seems like if you are going with that talent choice, correct me if I'm wrong then, because you definitely, my Monk is literally named Rich Fuki. Do you think that you need to be sitting the healer if you do go for that talent choice?
Well, with Serenity?
Yeah.
No, it's just good for those, like I said, those kind of like all-ins, whereas Whirling Dragon Punch, with the Storm Within Fire, you have more chances.
Yeah, more sustain, more chances. That's why in my mind it's like, okay, maybe you just need to all-in the healer absolutely every single time. You heard it from Ven, what he thinks they need to do to play, but now we're jumping in right now, and Supatees, as we get into game number 2, what do you think Windwalker DK Nation is trying to accomplish by bringing in the Demon Hunter and leaving their island, leaving their country of Windwalker DK Nation? They're off the island now. They're all alone with Proto now on the Demon Hunter. What are they trying to accomplish into this Thunder?
I mean, the main goal is that a Demon Hunter will have almost 100% uptime on any of the targets against Thundercleave. So if they want to split and have the Demon Hunter on the Shaman and the Monk on the Druid, and then try and catch Looney out of form and then collide on the same target, they can do that much more effectively with this comp. I want to see them get aggressive, though, and I'm curious. They might even just run down the Elemental Shaman. It's definitely a mobility reason why they're getting off the Death Knight.
Yeah, it's going to be much easier for this Demon Hunter, like you said, to get a little bit more consistent damage. You can see Z-Pi behind the pillar getting off his Stormkeeper very early on, incapacitate into cap stun onto Looney. As Z-Pi gets a little bit low, he's going to trade out the Astral Shift. He should be okay. Valley actually going back to the Storm Earth and Fire and the Trinket, so I definitely like those talent choices.
Burley spamming Purge and Lava Burst at Z-Pi, and he's playing very aggressively, putting that Earthen Shield Totem and then jumping on top of Z-Pi. Looney's actually playing Tree of Life. I guess he expected them to all in him and maybe imprison his Frenzy Regenerations. The Tree of Life means that his mana actually might not be able to last a late game if Burley just stops purging and plays a little bit more passively. Looney's moving in for some crowd control. He's going to bash up Burley. Potential Cyclone attempt. Doesn't look like he's going to risk it. Croto taking quite a bit of damage from that Earth Shock from Z-Pi. Burley trying to recover. He's got Healing Tide Totem down. It's going to be healing his whole team. Unfortunately, it's now faded. We see an incapacitate into a cap totem. Good crowd control as they set up onto Z-Pi. That's an immediate trinket from Looney. These are decent setups from Windwalker DK Nation. They're whittling down the cooldowns of XRB. Another setup could be victory.
Yep, Alia could be in some trouble, though. No Touch of Karma. Fortifying Elixir is going to be used as he ports away. That's going to give Looney an opportunity to top off Z-Pi. Double stun coming in from Croto onto Blizzo as well as Z-Pi there. Looney has no trinket as well. Croto getting very low into the offensive Cyclone. Do they have the follow-up CC onto Burley? You can see Looney pushing in, looking for the Cyclone. Warstorm Cyclone. Croto all by himself. Darkness gets dropped out. Is he going to be able to survive? Now a Hex onto Burley. Croto barely hanging on.
Oh! Blizzo leaps in for the Storm Bolt. Spirit Link barely connects from Burley, but there's a Stormkeeper Chain Lightning hitting the entire team. Burley's going to have to recover through that with no area of effect healing. He's got no Healing Tide, no Ascendance. His team is going to be low for quite some time. It's going to be difficult for him to work their HP back up. Balia with no defensives, Proto with no defenses. They're incredibly vulnerable. Now they've lost the opening to kill Z-Pi. His Astral Shift is rotating back and available. This game is now swinging heavily in favor of XRB. Burley still can't stabilize. Touch of Karma in 3 more seconds. Balia needs to buy the time. They imprison Blizzo. Fist of Fury stun to stall it out. Touch of Karma immediately traded as soon as it's available. Looney smells blood in the water. He goes for a bash. He gets the Cyclone, a Stormbolt to deny the stop from Croto. Great cross CC from XRB, and Croto falls as a result. And it was a valiant fight from the Windwalker DK Nation, but abandoning their country might not have been the correct decision.
I will say that composition seemed to play into Thunder very well. They start getting defensives. They start getting on script, basically, right? And they find opportunities where they didn't really find any in the last game, but ultimately you're still playing against XRB to the moon on Thunder, Zico.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, when you're playing as XRB to the moon, Windwalker DK Nation had the best possible opener. He got the Incapacitate into the full cap totem, and Z-Pi had to use his Astral Shift, and there was still a lot of CC left on Looney, but Blizzo leaps in, double fear on the trinkets of the DPS, Storm Bolts, all that warrior stuff, and all of a sudden, Z-Pi is going to survive. Next setup, Looney's going to trinket. And then before they can even get a third setup, this is the good thing about XRB's Thunder, is that all of a sudden, Blizzo and Z-Pi are just going to one-shot someone, and you can't do that setup because you're too low, you're too scared. So, and Looney had a really good performance in that game as well, managing to land so many different cyclones on the Demon Hunter as well as Burley, really securing that game for them, and even forced out the trinket of Burley as well in that game.
Their synergy was absolutely insane. Every CC was followed up by another one. Any time that they needed more pressure, somebody had it. Beautifully played by XRB to the moon. They're going to be leading 2-0. We're jumping to a quick break. When we return, we're going to kick off the day with the Hot 3-0. Staying true to themselves, Windwalker DK Nation makes their last stand. Will they be able to stamp the passports of XRB straight to the island of Windwalker DKdom? Or will XRB to the moon run away with another quick 3-0? Gates are now open.
They successfully reverse sweep Tempo Storm in the same position yesterday. Miracles can happen, or will Looney deny the dream? Balia catching Looney, and it looks like they are going to try an all-in strategy. Looney opting not to trinket. This is a greedy decision. Now he's overlapped, and he could possibly get caught out. Frenzy Regeneration allowing a lot of recovery. If Burley can stay on top of him, purging him, though, he's going to be in a difficult position. He's using the dash to bait a death grip. Croto's not falling for the bait. They're trying to hold on to it as long as possible. Looney makes an escape. Balia now on the back foot. Could possibly have to use Touch of Karma. Lots of counter pressure with that Earth Shock. And we see Burley caught into a full hex. It's immediately going to be the touch of Karma, and Windwalker DK Nation are just running at Looney start to finish, but it looks like he's finally made his escape. Croto gets disarmed on the Icebound Fortitude. Critical game-winning play from Blizzo. Balia tries to stall it out with the Fist of Fury, and he does so. Croto survives, but for how much longer?
Yeah, Looney should be in a very fine position. Balia and Croto both very exposed, but they managed to get back on target. Nice Vortex coming in from Looney. That's going to be dragging Croto off into a terrible spot. It's going to be so difficult for him to reconnect to his target. Bash on Balia, and keep in mind, Croto and Balia both do not have a trinket, so it's going to be very easy for Zeepai and Blizzo to peel them up if they do find Looney in one of these situations again where he gets caught in an end cap.
All right, Croto trying to make his way over. He's got Pillar Frost. They got Looney caught out of form. If Croto can just get there, he could be in a lot of trouble, but Croto can't cross the distance. A Hex into Balia denies any follow-up damage. Looney gets blinding, but it's not really going to capitalize on too much. He's got his Bark Skins. He's got Displacer. He can make an easy getaway. He blinks out of line of sight. A great Displacer piece there from Looney. Balia's trying to buy time with the paralysis. Croto gets stunned away. Blizzo just preventing Croto from getting back on his target. Balia's not able to solo Looney with the War Stomp Cyclone. It's going to deny any aggression. Croto on the back foot. Burley trying to pick him up. Zeepai moving over for potentially a Hex. He's just attacking Burley. Crits him down to half with that Earth Shock. Balia is forced to pull back. I would love to see a ride the wind, but they've got 10 seconds with no Displacer Beast, but Looney looks almost untouchable against this team. Burley, he's running out of mana, he's running out of cooldowns. I mean, Spirit Link Totem is the next thing that he's got to keep his team going, but if they don't find a kill soon, it's not looking too good for them. Another stun out of form, but Croto just can't get there. Croto gets Storm Bolted just inches away from Looney. He can't get any damage out. Blizzo is doing such a phenomenal job. Amazing Vortex position. Balia drops a Portal, and Portal's back up after getting pulled down, and AMS immunes the Vortex. That was great play from Croto and Balia to stay on target.
Yeah, Looney's trying to get behind this pillar once again. Nice blind over onto Blizzo. Croto trying to just do everything he can to reconnect to target. Balia trinkets out of the bash. Full stun on Looney. He has his trinket, has his Iron Bark. Doesn't want to be greedy, but Looney's been doing a good job so far with this decision making. Zeepai's been able to support him huge, as well as Blizzo just making Croto's life a living heck as he's still just trying to connect to his target. Full stun over onto Burley. Earthshock stun on Croto as he gets lower. Spirit Link Totem might get dropped out here. Does. Unfortunately killed off immediately, didn't get the value from Burley, so Croto still remains low.
It's a fantastic Thunderstorm from Zeepai. It prevented Burley's health from being redistributed. Blizzo chopped up the Spirit Link Totem before they could get back into it. Now with a full Hex secured, Burley has to trinket. There's no cooldowns left. Looney, it's do or die. If they can't take him down within the next minute or so, they're going to be losing this and knocked out of the tournament. A double fear on two players with no trinket. Croto's completely alone with Blizzo, and that is not a warrior you want to go head-to-head with. Anti-Magic Shield protects him from Zeepai, but it does not protect him from Execute. Blizzo is just chopping away and takes them down. XRB to the moon, destroy the dreams of the Windwalk DK Nation and advance for an opportunity at the top 4 spots in the summer finals.
And that is the thing that we need to be thinking about right now, because one of those scenarios has been chopped off. No longer do we have to think about Windwalker DK Nation making that miracle run, winning the tournament. Now we have to think, what can XRB do? Their fate is entirely in their own hands. If they can take this down, they get to go to LAN. Right now, they've at least ensured that they have that tiebreaker match. They are in the top 3 teams. So they have 2 chances now, basically. They have a few chances. They have a lifeline. They do ultimately get into that tiebreaker, but if they can take the whole thing, they don't even need to worry about playing against Reform. Very well played by XRB, and Looney obviously does a fantastic job. He's able to weather that storm, take the crazy amount of pressure that the Windwalker DK Nation can put out onto him, but Blizzo, oh my goodness. He just says, enjoy Wraithwalk. I'm sure you'll get there eventually. Just stops absolutely everything. Anytime you see Croto about to get big damage, he just has something to just silence any damage that he can get out.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Blizzo does. He finds these crucial moments where his healer's in trouble, make sure that he weathers that storm, and then after that, he just puts out so much damage, make sure he has all that uptime. Really does a phenomenal job, and I mean, we can't stress enough about how good Zeepai is as well. That Thunderstorm out of the Spirit Link Totem, then immediately kills it off. The continued amount of Hex attempts on Burley, consistently targeting Burley, making sure that he cannot follow Looney and spam purge. Just phenomenal control from XRB, and now they're tied with Reformed for that last spot.
I feel like I've been sleeping on XRB. and then you watch them play Thunder, and all of a sudden you start you start just really thinking about stuff. It's just been so. I just feel like the Warlock comps. It's almost a repeat of what happened last year. We just see Walrix comps not being quite as good as they need to be. They're not at the front of the meta, and all of a sudden XRB goes from being the top placing team to slowly moving down, and now seeing them on the Thunder, all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, this has to be the best team in the world, right? Like, this just has to be one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it, but the thing is, we still have an unanswered question. Can they deal with the Outlaw Rogue? Because they've been good, they've been consistent throughout all of the cups. The only thing they lose to over and over and over is the Outlaw Rogue, so we'll have to see in these next couple series if they finally have something prepared.
Spoiler alert, they're on a collision course with an Outlaw Rogue as we look at our bracket right now, and it is one of the scariest Outlaw Rogues in the entire world. The King of the Seas, the main pirate, Waz, the King of Pirates. But the question is, will XRB get to play them? Because ultimately it's Ascendant versus Method Black. The loser drops down to play XRB, and then XRB ends up playing both of those squads if they can win the next series.
Yeah, and XRB right now are definitely praying that they go up against Ascendant, because last time they faced around, it was a very, very nail-biting close 3-2 for Ascendant, who later went on to win that entire cup. But XRB, they don't have the best track record against Method Black. Because of that Outlaw Rogue, they know Method Black has so many different compositions that they can run, especially the Outlaw Elemental Shaman Discipline Priest, which has given them so much trouble in these last during this whole season. So XRB right now definitely crossing their fingers that Ascendant does not win the potential RMP mirror that we could have coming up soon.
Well, Zico, you say that they don't have the best track record against Method Black, that XRB to the Moon doesn't have the best track record against Method Black. Who does? Like, that is the main thing that we need to be thinking about. It really is Ascendant, and we're going to be jumping into this next match. And guys, we want to know, who do you think is going to be able to take this? Who is going to get the first spot in the grand final for this, the third EU Cup? Is it going to be Ascendant, or is it going to be Method Black? You can use hashtag ASC if you think Ascendant's going to take it in Twitch chat right now, or hashtag MP if you think Method Black is going to take this one. We are going to get that entire match set up right now. The players are queuing up. We're going to jump to a break. When we return, who is going to be the first team in the grand final? Who is going to be going to the second international LAN of the year? We're going to find out this and plenty more today. Already, EU Cup out to a phenomenal start. We'll see you when we return.